So, Wolfgang, welcome to our Coffee with an Elder chat. We are so excited to be able to get to know you at what we are now calling legacy elders in the Central European region through these chats. We are going to sit down with all of our legacy elders and then ask them all the same questions. So today, I'm excited to hear from you as you share with us your heart you have for Central European region and the impact that you have on all of us. And as we start this chat, first, I would like to ask you just a little bit if you can tell us about yourself and about your family.
Thank you, Andrea. Joy to be with you and anybody else that joins watching this. Well, I'm Swiss. That's where I grew up. And I'm married to Chris, who's from Minnesota. And we have 3 adult children. And the last one just graduating from high school and leaving as well. So we'll be empty nesters in a few months. And we've been working and living in Eastern and Central Europe since 1992.
Wow. Yeah, this is wonderful what you share. You guys are a beautiful family. So thank you so much for sharing. Now I would like to ask you, where did you do your DTS? How did you start with YWAM?
Well, I was 21 when I was really sensing that I needed to make a decision about the calling I have felt to go into missions, cross-cultural missions. And I didn't have any context from church or home towards that, but just always had this sense of calling since I was a teen. And so I was looking for different opportunities and eventually came across YWAM. And so I just felt the Lord directing me to join YWAM, and I jumped on a plane, so to speak, in 1992 to fly to Kona, Hawaii. And that's where I did my DTS and then stayed on staff for several years working with DTS. So that's where my journey with YWAM began.
Wow, wonderful. So good to know like where you did your DTS and how your journey started. So very cool. Thank you for sharing. Now, these were like easier questions. And now I would like to ask you, can you share with us one mistake you made in leadership and what lesson you learned from it?
Yeah, I really like that question. It's one that I appreciate learning from others. And I think one of the main things when I look over my life, but also really life and leadership, then I think that one of the biggest mistakes is, and something I still am learning, is not to avoid conflict and tensions in relationships. I don't like conflict, have an aversion to it. And of course, in my life, I learned really well to avoid it, but not recognizing often the consequences it has on me, my mental, my emotional state or space, and then of course the impact it has on those around me. And so I'm not picking out a particular situation, even though there are several situations, but it's really the mistake of not dealing with attention when it starts, but letting it go on because I prefer to avoid it, thinking, oh, it will work out, or harmony is really important. I don't want to rock the boat and create uneasiness or so. And it's a really wrong value system I have to recognize. And it's not loving to me or the other person. It's not a way of respecting the relationship by avoiding it. And I had to learn that vulnerability to actually address attention or address something that is difficult for me or something I don't understand is really, really critical. So the mistake of avoiding conflict and tension is always ends up being far worse. Not in the sense of we need to confront everything that we see and be petty about all kinds of things, but really paying attention to how the relational dynamics are for me with different team members. And overall, I don't have a lot of conflict. It's not like there's all this conflict in my life, but I've noticed just the always wanting to avoid it, which gives me a sense of comfort of not having to deal with it. Yeah. But it creates a relational distance, and that distance also then impacts the team or the quality of trust and safety and vulnerability on the team, which are so essential that we can actually work well together and have unity. Yeah. So what's actually deeper, I think, around that, Andrea, has to do with I need to have enough space in my life and to reflect and really assess where are key relationships in my life and what am I doing with relationships that are not going as well, and then deciding what to do with it. So it's an absence of creating space for reflection and reflecting on what's going well, reflecting on what is challenging, and then deciding what I do with it, and also include others in that process so I don't get isolated with what's going on in my head and heart. Yeah. Where then I become isolated out of my own choices rather than vulnerably and truthfully speaking with colleagues about it so I get a better perspective, and then also have them help me be accountable to make a change in those relationships that are more challenging for me. Yeah. So it's about not enough reflection, which then there's a lack of self-awareness, which then filters and fuels not me dealing with tensions that exist. Yeah.
This is wonderful what you share. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now I know that you work a lot in the area of coaching. Would you mind just shortly tell us a little bit about coaching? How did you even start? Is this your passion? Where do you see needs?
Well, it's become a passion. It's become really my almost my entire focus in these last 10, 12 years. And it came out of kind of not an intentional, oh, this is what I will now do. It came out of a situation where I recognized the team I have been leading in Bulgaria. I was in a place where I needed to pass on leadership and move into something that is more reflective of where I can give my best. And in that process, I wasn't sure what the next area would be that I would focus on. And it turned out of a series of conversations, of my own thinking process and looking what could be next, I heard about coaching, but not in a missions context. It didn't exist to my knowledge at the time in that context. And so I started looking into it, felt prompted to get some training, processed that with my leadership in Central Europe, gave me green lights to really continue that, and then really also develop it. I recognized as I got into it, this is an incredible way of supporting our leaders and one another with a reflective process to go deep in order to make the changes that really matter to us as a person, that we're fully who we are, and that we can really more effectively do what we're called to. So out of that discovery for myself, then requests were made for training, and then the focus training that some of people in Central Eastern Europe have done came out of that. And it's just been growing and growing. And I'm just really grateful that I stumbled into something that God had in mind and I think prepared me for, but I didn't know existed and would end up being what it now is. I'm really, really privileged and grateful. Yeah.
I know that many of us benefit from coaching, and we're going through your program, and it's really amazing what you do. So thank you so much for supporting us in this way.
That's a joy, Andrea, and it's a joy having a whole team that's really behind that, you know. And I think that's one of the key things, building a team that really carries it forward. So that's been great.
Wolfie, as we are coming closer to an end, I have this final question for you. And it's like, if someone was to ask you what it means to you to be an elder in this area, what would you say?
I'm true to who I am. I think that's really important. And therefore the question, what does it mean to me? It means different things, I think, to different people because of who God made us. For me, I think it has so much to do with creating a safe space for others where they can be seen and heard and can process the challenges that they face in order then to really find a way forward that fits them. So for me, it's really about coming alongside others so they can fully be and develop in who they are, in their calling, and then figure out a way to move forward. And having someone who believes in them, I think that's a key aspect of eldership, is believing in the calling that God has given to people and being behind them, no matter whether things go always well or not so well, but just being there to support them on that journey and supporting them and their team on that journey so they can really make that difference they're called to.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. And you are such a wonderful, such an amazing support, believing in us and standing with many of us. I totally see importance of what you are saying and sharing here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. It's such a privilege. Such a privilege being part of this region in this mission and coming alongside and having benefited myself from exactly others doing that for me. I wouldn't be where I'm at, excuse me, if it hadn't been for other people.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, Wolfgang, it was really nice to chat with you today. I would like to thank you for being with us, taking time, sharing your heart and some wisdom with us, with the region. Thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you soon again.
Thank you, Andrea. Joy to be with you. Yes, I look forward to when we actually meet in person again.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Great. Thank you too.